It's time to deal with this atrocity once and for all.
Cable management is a thing. I see it all the time. No cables. Most people just hide the mess inside a box. And then how do you add something new or take out a cable, God forbid? I've tried managing my cables more than once in the past. It always starts out nice and tidy, but ends as a heap of mess, hidden or not. I had to crack this, and I came up with something I'm kind of proud of. But before we get into how I conquered my cables, I first want to quickly show you how I stabilize my table. If you recall in the previous table upgrade video, the outcome was a wobbly, insecure, pathetic excuse of stability.
So before we get to the cable management, which is the main theme of this video, I still need to make my table more stable. It wobbles like crazy, especially when I'm in the standing position. And what I did was I quickly welded a frame that will swap the flimsy frame that came with the stand-up desk and hopefully make it rock solid. So again, I find myself in the predicament where I need to take out the table legs without taking the whole thing apart, which is a lot of hassle. Last time I had the original legs that helped everything stand in place until I brought in the table legs. Now I don't have them. What I did was I brought 4 stools. Can't believe I've taken this out so fast after bringing it in a couple of weeks ago. Woo! We're done. Okay. Let me explain. I just took apart 8 Allen screws that held these 2 length poles, let's call them, where their maximum length is 160 centimeters. Very flimsy if you have a long top. These desk companies, they build the desk bases to accommodate a different length according to every customer's preference. But if you want to go larger than that, you're in trouble and you can't. And that's why I'm ditching these 2 length poles. The second thing I just took apart are basically the only things that hold the actual top in place is these 2 guys. Okay, so instead of having an eye-shaped, flimsy-ish base, I've created my rectangular base. Okay, I've just realized that I've made serious miscalculation. I assumed that this doesn't exist. So this box holds, wait, I'll show you on the other one. This box houses the motor for the actuator. So I planned on my frame to just sit right on top of these 2 pieces. And then I was planning to drill holes through here to catch my frame. I need to make this higher so that my frame can sit on something. I need to think what I'm going to do, especially in the middle of the night where I can't cut anything, I can't make any noise, and I need to be even cleverer than usual. Cleverer.
At this point, I videoed myself literally thinking for well over 40 seconds. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you through the whole process.
There are 2 options. I can either add a piece of steel that will run along this line here and bring it to this height, or find spacers, and they'll have to be steel spacers. Can't be something that I print. It needs to be something pretty sturdy that will just act as a spacer between the base, the legs, and my frame. I'm not happy at all about this.
Here I go again, thinking away, documenting it, as if we need proof.
I've got these drilling screws that would have gone just right through my steel frame, easy peasy. But now I'm going to need these screws to be longer, so I need new screws as well. Yeah, I'm in a pickle. Now I can't use my table either.
And again, you can see me thinking away. This time it looks like it's mixed with a few emotions like self-pity and frustration.
Anyway, I was just about to pack it in and just go to bed. And then I realized that I can use the length rails, the original length rails, as a spacer. Obviously, it was in the same place that I need to be spaced out. I can take the rail apart, like I've already done, and just use this piece and this piece on each of the sides to space it out. And then the only thing left is finding the correct screw that will be able to go through the base of the leg, my spacer, and into my new frame. I actually have in my inventory, I was dissing my inventory before, but I've got a good inventory. These drilling screws, and they are just too short by probably 1/2 centimeter. So I still can't go forward today, but I'm one step closer. I have my spacer. All I need is a longer drilling screw. We'll carry on tomorrow. Okay, that's screws. I bought 2 types of screws. So just as a quick reminder, for myself mainly, these screws are 4 centimeters long. The spacer, or the old pole, is 3 centimeters long. So the thickness of the leg base plus this brings it just under 4, and it's just like not long enough to penetrate my metal frame. So I just went and bought the same screw, just longer. We now have the legs that are connected with my spacers to the actual new frame that's meant to make my table just that much more stable.
It was a crappy idea, and even worse in execution. The table was just as wobbly as before. To cut a long story short, I added 2 4 centimeter profiles instead of the improvised spacers, and it was much better after that.
I printed these rails that are meant to be holding the cables in a straight line. So there's all in all, there's 15 slots for thicker cables, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots for the thinner cables like an iPhone charger, or a very thin 12-volt charger, or something an adapter, a charger for the keyboard and all that. So in all, we've got 20 slots, and we're going to have 2 of these. So hopefully in most cases I won't need to transition between the 2 pieces of plywood. So on each one of them we'll have, on the back side we'll have the the power adapter. On the front of each one of these we'll have the cables running in straight lines from each side. Now these rails, I added a little hole. There's the hole, can you see? And the idea of this hole was that I would be able to just put it in place and mark with a pencil, with a thin pen, exactly where I need to make the holes that will connect this to the piece of plywood. 2 mistakes here. First of all, the hole is just not thick enough. Nothing goes through it. I mean, I could use a very thin pencil, but you want to be marking it with a pen, and the pen just doesn't go in. And the second is that I extruded the hole on one side but not on the other, so the hole doesn't go all the way through. I could drill a hole, but just come and have a look here and you'll see that it's much easier to just mark where the holes need to be on the actual piece of plywood like this. Put it here. Okay, I'll mark the 2 places where I want the holes to be. I'll do the same on the other side, and then I'll draw a line along the 2 marks, and I can just make holes wherever I want. Sometimes you just don't need to be that clever, you just need to do what makes the most sense. It's not the first time that I get all my back dusty from the concrete wall. I've tried cleaning the wall in the past, nothing seems to do the trick. If I ever want to solve it, I'm going to have to close the entire wall with some kind of concrete sealer. This is one task that I don't really want to do, but if I want to stop looking so ridiculous in my own videos, being completely unaware of how dirty my back is, only to find out when I review the footage, I'm going to have to. And now for the final outcome. This way I can access each individual cable. I haven't used zip ties at all. As you can see, I have room to add more cables if I'll need, and the aesthetic is phenomenal. Well, I'm not sure this type of management fits everyone. I like to think of it as showing the mess. This way I can add or remove cables without too much hassle. Either way, it's a new idea and I like it. I would love to hear your opinion. Comments, especially sarcastic ones, packed with criticism, are more than welcome on this channel. So please feel free to sound your voice in the comments below. As always, thank you for your time, and I will see you on the next one.